Well, hey.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good morning.
You know what is a good sign
Excuse
that
me.
today's going to be
Sip a little bit.
Please do, right on the mic. One of my favorite things about a day after an event is the fogginess that exists. Like
The Fall Fest
yeah,
fog.
The Fall Fest fog.
It is real.
I would say that's true, but I'm excited to be here because there's also that Fall Fest just boost, you know.
Frenzy?
Frenzy.
We need another
I don't
F
think
word.
That's good. I don't think we want to have frenzy. I think that's bad.
Never mind. I was going to say find an F word.
So here
Focus?
we go. Focus.
It's a fog and a focus
I'm just going to go with energy.
Okay.
Yeah, so listen, we are post-event. We'd had a great day yesterday.
Yeah, so our first big event as the church at Old Town.
It was. And I said in the morning, I said it's going to be one of those days where we just remember for a long time. It's going to be part of Old Town lore, and here we are. We're already telling the lore.
Yes. And we do have some great pictures. Yeah. I want to look up really quickly who tagged us in these because a photographer, a very good photographer. Yes.
Yeah, Spider-Man was really doing
J.S. Rains Photography.
Awesome.
Thank you for taking these pictures and for tagging us in them. Really great pictures and captured some great costumes, some of our awesome trunk or treats.
Yeah. They worked really
seriously.
I love that one.
It was so good.
That was good.
This I thought was so adorable.
Yeah, I'm telling you, everybody, they did such a great job. Here's the deal. You know, what made this event so good, really just so many people pouring into it.
Yes.
And it came together just seamlessly.
Right.
Like,
well, and
really
you and I
easy.
were laughing before we started today because you
Spider-Man.
said, I know, in an amazing 1967 Mustang.
Yeah.
But you said that several people were like, I can't believe this went so well. And I was like, well, I kind of had the same thought, not because I doubted anyone,
right,
but because the church at Old Town is currently operating with one full-time staff member.
Yeah,
that's
me.
you.
Yeah.
2 part-time staff members, and then we said whatever I am.
The 10th time. Yeah.
It's really hard to say.
It is. No, but I mean, what that means is that it really is a team effort. Like we talk about the body of Christ, and everybody came together.
Yes.
They used their skills, whether it's, you printed these signs, they decorated this. I mean, everybody did their part. You know, I mean,
it's a testament to Ashley, who did most of the planning and organizing,
well,
and then all the many
champion.
volunteers. Yeah.
Yeah, I asked Ashley when Children's Minister Appreciation Month is, which needs to happen soon, because she really did a great job. I mean, she organized it. There's a great planning team. People came on Saturday to help decorate, make cotton candy, which we needed because the cotton candy was a hit.
I had a little bit of the cotton candy. It was
I did not.
exceptional.
I didn't get a chance to eat any cotton candy, but we still have the machine, so maybe today I'll just run over there and we'll see what happens.
Why not? And the food trucks.
Yes.
I loved that we had them there. I met some really great people. I met the owners of Brown Sugar
Desserts.
Desserts, okay. I never can get the name exactly right.
I always get it wrong, too. But no,
met Renee, though, and
great.
her husband. They were awesome, and the desserts were insane.
We talked about attitude yesterday, and I found an opportunity to exercise that because I was on my way to get a cinnamon roll, which are one of the things I like from there. And one of our very sweet members got the last one in front of me. And you know what? It was fine. Now, am I going to go today to make up for that loss? Yes.
I saw you eating one of their amazing strawberry shortcakes, though. I think
did
that you
suffer
were okay.
and had the giant strawberry shortcake, so it was good. No, I was just kidding. But it was... She was like, I don't think I could take this. I said, I want you to. I want you to experience the joy of this cinnamon roll. So she did and left me without. But that's okay.
So she did.
Yeah, she did.
Which we can't really blame her.
No, I had. We talked about the freedom to control our anger, and I'm just kidding. It was anger, but it was. I was excited to have an excuse to try something new. But yeah, that was great. And I had the tacos.
Yes.
Those are my favorite kinds of tacos.
Menzo's, I believe.
Yeah.
I know I'm not saying that right, probably.
Somewhere in there.
But yes.
There was a
their
great taco
food
truck.
looked and smelled amazing.
The pizza was good. I heard rave reviews.
I had the pizza.
The barbecue nachos.
It was excellent.
I'm telling you, all of these great. I mean, these
Yes.
people did a great job. They used their time.
Yes. And they're all featured in our Instagram story today. If you want to go visit that, you can see the names and see the faces behind some of those businesses, and we definitely recommend that you support them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they're doing a great job.
They are, but it was great. And then we had carnival games. We had just the inflatables, all of that stuff. It was just such a
The
great time.
inflatables section was rocking.
It was
when I went
rocking.
over
Yeah,
there. I
it
mean,
was a lot of
how many did we have?
activity.
I didn't count, but I just know there were a lot.
I don't remember.
It was like 7. I think there were like 6 or 7.
Yeah, if you count the train, which was pretty cool.
Well, the train was not inflatable. I would not count that. But the train was super cool.
It had tires, so it was inflatable. So, yeah. No, it was great, though. I mean, the line for the train was pretty... You would think people in Helena would have kind of a thing against trains, but they did not.
I was about to say, is that the train that causes all of the problems?
It's not. No,
okay,
I can confirm that's a different train.
That's good.
That train lives in Hayden, so it's okay.
Okay.
It drives north. But no, it really was fun. Here's what I really loved, not just that there were a lot of people there, but I heard so many conversations of, oh, I didn't know you go here. You know, yeah, we thought about coming here. What's it like? Or, you know, thank you guys so much for doing this for our family. We've been looking for something. And so many people missed out last year when they couldn't do a lot of stuff. And that's really the win. I mean, ultimately we said, if we have just a few of those conversations, all of this is worth it.
Yes.
And
well, I got to know a lot of people too that I hadn't had time to chat with.
Absolutely.
So that
absolutely.
I really enjoyed that
building
as well.
that community, making memories. I do feel like we ought to send ice packs to all of the people who work the carnival games that involve throwing things, because I just kept seeing them bending over carrying it.
Yeah.
And, you know, so we'll get we'll call sports medicine for you, but it was good.
It was a long day, totally worth it.
Totally
Thank you to all of our volunteers. Absolutely. I was just so encouraged by that, because even at one point I went around to let all the trunk-or-treaters know that we had plenty of candy and we'd like to stay open until 6 instead of 5.
Yeah.
Every single one was like, yes, absolutely, no problem, we're having a blast.
That was
and so that's just really encouraging about our church family in general, that people are so willing to
and generous with their candy. I
yes.
mean, we made it.
Because we never ran out of candy.
I mean, there was people literally the entire time coming through, and we did not run out. So.
Yes.
And we have extra, which is good, because now we're ready for the Christmas parade, which is coming.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
I would love to know more.
Okay.
Literally, what I know is there's a Christmas parade. But
do I get to ride on the float? That's really the most.
I've already
important
had
question.
a lot of requests of people riding.
For
on
me
the
to
float.
ride on the float.
We're going to do auditions on how people can wave.
Now
I feel like you have some background.
I did a couple of pageants,
Yeah.
which I don't know where this came from, because I never did this actually in a pageant.
It's elbow, wrist. I believe is the elbow, wrist. We'll work on it.
Everyone is doing
Everybody's
it right
gonna
now.
try.
This huge studio audience we have.
This is good. So I don't know who's going to ride on it. I have had some people call dibs, if that's a real thing. I don't know if that's a valid.
I didn't actually say dibs, so I guess I'm really not in the running. That's okay. I'm still happy to help and support in any way that I can.
I actually don't really know what they look like or how it works, but it's going to be great. So we're going to be able to provide some stuff, and
I'm so distracted now thinking about what our float might look like.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Do we have ideas?
We don't. But we'll take ideas.
Hey,
yeah, we'll take
you heard
ideas.
it here.
Just
We're opening up the comment section.
Yeah, we are opening.
Ideas
it's
for
officially
floats.
open.
And very unselfishly, whether or not I should be allowed to ride on the float. Just a yes or a no will suffice.
We may have to do like a drawing or something, because there's a lot of people who are really
a
looking
raffle?
for. Or maybe we'll just have 2 floats, just.
Maybe everyone should have their own float.
Okay, that's probably a lot. Well, here's the Old Town Parade, and then
we'll do, in keeping with the spirit of Helena, we'll do a train, and each person can have their own car, and it'll be miles long. Again, in keeping with the
and it'll
spirit
stop
of the
the parade for a
train.
while, and everybody can sit there and be annoyed. Yeah.
Yes.
This sounds great.
I think we've nailed it.
I think we have nailed it. Yeah, we are going to have to come up with a good theme. I would like for the theme to involve costumes in some way. I did not get to wear a costume yesterday. All my costumes are hot. Like the inflatables, I felt like it was going to be too much. But we're gonna bring it back. I have a walrus costume, so if we could roll that into the Christmas float, a Christmas walrus.
I feel like that's a given.
Right.
That a walrus.
Well, I
walrus
didn't think it was a stretch, but I thought
Was
it
there a
would be good.
walrus at the manger?
It was not,
trying to remember
but there is a narwhal in Rudolph. So
There's also a narwhal in Elf.
okay, you're right.
Yes.
Yeah. So good. It's hard to believe that Christmas.
What's that?
We got to start
Don't you
thinking.
do costumes for the recap to hype this up?
Costumes for the recap.
Costumes on the recap.
Well, you have
Well, you know, the
costumes
internet-
at your, like, you just have a closet full of costumes, is at least
It's true.
is my perception.
That is true. That's
you have the
actually
dinosaur and apparently the
accurate.
walrus.
Two dinosaurs. So
Two dinosaurs.
Two dinosaurs.
Not to be
Walrus,
braggy,
panda
but-
bear, inflatable spaceman, elf costume. Yeah, I mean we get a lot.
Okay.
But it's priorities. We spend what we really love, and that's good.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we will entertain your idea, Brody and Pierce.
Yeah.
To wear costumes on the. If you want to weigh in on that, guys.
Yeah, please
Should
do.
we have a costume?
Probably would have made more
recap?
sense to promote the trunk or treat part with a costume, but Christmas is Christmas, so we can do a lot of things with that.
You have to, yeah. When inspiration, you never know when inspiration's gonna.
You really don't know when inspiration is going to strike. So I guess it would be good to recap the sermon for our sermon recap.
Let's talk about the sermon.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do it.
So, and I have a question for you that I
Okay.
meant to run by you before the recap.
Good. That's always fun. That's promising.
Again, the great news for us is we are recording this the day before it's published.
Today is
so
Monday.
we could always
Yeah. So if you're worried,
that
like
part
if you're
out.
watching this on Tuesday and you're like, why are they still tired? It's because it's Monday. They're not.
Although I gotta say I anticipate a little bit of weariness tomorrow
Yeah,
as
I
well.
do feel that could be coming, but it's
But
okay.
again, it's a good tired.
It's good.
tired.
Yeah. Ministry tired is good tired.
I forgot to bring my notebook,
That's
so
okay.
I'll let you read from your notes.
Well, what was your question that you didn't run by? Let's roll the dice.
Okay, so for those who may not have listened to the sermon yet,
Yeah.
just a quick recap of the topic. It was
Right.
about the words that we use in
Yeah,
speech, and
a
I
lot
loved
of it
your
was
approach.
about our attitudes and our words.
Yes, I loved your approach about its 6 freedoms
Yes.
that we've been given.
That's right.
So maybe just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah,
a lot of
so-
people, when they read that passage, they feel like,
Right.
why am I being given all these rules?
Yeah, so we talked about there's two ways to read these commands of Scripture, and there's a lot of commands of Scripture, but usually there are the implications of the theology that was already presented. So James does that, Paul does that, Peter does that. All these letters often have that, and you can read them as commands, as like a to-do list. Okay, I'm good if I do these things, but really, it's more helpful to remember that without the Holy Spirit in your life, you did not have the ability or the power to do it. And I like to think that now we have the freedom to do that because we weren't able to do these things. I mean, and some of the things we talked about, freedom to speak the truth, just to always be honest and how we can feel good about that. Freedom to control our anger, to work with honor, speak with grace, choose kindness, and then forgive. All of those things we're free to do that now because we're in the new self, but the old self could maybe dabble in it. You could try to forgive a little bit, but not in the spirit of what we're really trying to do. Really, that's operating as Christ operated in life and in his character, even now. So we need to understand that nobody really likes the commands. And for a lot of us who are perfectionists, as soon as you stop, if you mess up or you fail to reach the commands, you think, oh, well, I give up. Instead, you just remember that you are free. You have the freedom or the ability to now do these things, but also the responsibility.
Yes.
So we're not saying you're free to do it or not do it, but we're saying you have the ability now to do it. And if you do these things, you recognize that you will have that abundant life that Jesus was talking about. And to me, that's the heartbeat of what we're trying to go after.
Right.
So
You ready?
I'm ready.
This is the question.
There's a lot of lead up. Yeah. Let's do
So specifically what I thought about was the use of profanity.
Yeah.
And the reason that I thought about it is there's always this pushing of the envelope. There's always this
Right.
well, maybe this rule doesn't apply anymore. I've seen that translate to some Christian leaders,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So in different circles, I would say,
Sure.
probably I'm not speaking of like John MacArthur or
Right. Not necessarily our
Russell
circles,
Moore.
but right.
but that all of a sudden maybe not all of a sudden, there's been a drifting towards this idea that, who decides that these words are bad words anyway.
Right.
And
right.
what does it matter? Like, I'm just a human being, and if in the moment I feel like I want to drop a word that some people consider to be profane,
Right.
what's the big deal?
Yeah.
And so that's my question for you.
Yeah,
How should
I think-
Christians look at what society considers to be profane language?
Right. Well, I think what you see is people trying to embrace that freedom, the different kind of freedom now. Now it's like that freedom to, it's kind of like the meat sacrificed to idols, you know, and they're like, well, it's not really that bad because it's just meat and these are just words.
Mm-hmm.
So you feel this kind of freedom that God doesn't really care that much about this or that. I would say that in just any time that we start trying to figure out where the line is, we've probably already made a different mistake.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've either decided that we get to define what's going to be good or bad,
Mm-hmm.
or we know there's something in the back of our minds that says this is not great,
Right.
but we want to justify it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that happens all the time is we try to justify things by trying to draw the line, like how far is too far on this, or what is actually okay and what's not okay, when we really know it's not the act, it's really the spirit behind it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so much of Jesus teaching us is your motive and your mind behind things is what matters the most to God. You know, our actions will be born out of that. But so when we talk about like profanity, you know, a lot of times it's expressed, and it's an expression of anger that has overflowed. So so now we know we're called to be angry, but do not sin. Well,
Right.
this is an expression of anger that seems out of control.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that's not great. I would also say, you know, is it building people up? You know, our speech is called to build people up. I would say a lot of people who use profanity, it's either for shock value, which is to draw attention to themselves and to prove some kind of point, or it reveals a heart that is struggling right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, well, I mean, I think that can be a real issue. And so even if you say, well, these are just words, you know, and you go on, and we don't want to you can get really legalistic, and so you can say, well, is any word that you express frustration bad? Maybe. I mean, you know, but you don't just stop talking, or you don't beat yourself up. But I do think we have to think about the heart behind a lot of this.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually think, I mean, the prevalence of the language we use is awful. You know, we were at the football game on Friday over at the high school, and just walking back to the concession stand, it's like I have heard so many bad words and so many inappropriate words,
Mm-hmm.
and from middle schoolers and high schoolers.
Yes.
But mostly middle schoolers and like ninth graders. It was wild. Actually, it came back, and I was like, Jen, this is like something has happened to this generation because the language is so bad. I actually believe, and I know we've jokingly talked about, I do believe that YouTube and TikTok has created, it has inundated people with bad language and foul topics that has normalized it to this point.
Yes.
It's made it just normal discourse.
Yes.
And you know, whether it's the songs behind those things, I mean, so everything could be bad and good. You know, well, not everything, that's not true. But a lot of things can be used for good or for evil.
Right.
I do think that for children, for middle schoolers, younger kids even, high schoolers, when you're inundated with these messages and it seems normative, that it becomes really, really just makes sense to use those words.
Right.
It becomes part of your discourse. And so I worry about that, particularly because I have a middle school and high schooler, but also because what does that look like for the future?
Right.
Because it's not God honoring language, and a lot of it goes really far. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's actually talking about topics that are definitely not to be talked about in that way, and so I do worry about that because it just, I don't, where is it going to stop?
Right.
I mean,
And it kind of points to what you and I have discussed a couple of weeks ago, I know, and it's just what seems to be a general, not just a lack, but aversion to the idea of self-control.
Yeah.
That like whatever is going on inside my brain, whatever I'm feeling emotionally, whatever occurs to me, that is what is true.
That's right.
And I should express that regardless of who is around or what the consequences are. And I think that's a big part of what concerns me is that then I like fast forward 10 years, well, let's say 15 years if they were middle schoolers, to like a board meeting.
Right,
like,
right. Can
what
you
does
imagine?
that look like?
Well, because in our assumption, we assume everybody's going to mature and like, they'll figure it out. I mean, in what way? Like,
I mean, a lot of the way you're formed during those years, and Christ can come into your life and change everything, and will if you allow Him to. But yes, a lot of it that's in those formative years, it just becomes a part of who they are. We all know that that society in general has drifted away from the idea of self-control, discipline, decorum.
Yeah.
And so it is interesting to think about what that looks like as adults.
Yeah, it is. Well, and I'll say just, I mean, really basic thing that I think was true when I was a kid and now is using inappropriate language, especially, trashy innuendo or bad words or whatever. Let's say that you have worked it out in your brain that words are just words. Well, you're still giving off a persona that you're not representing Jesus very well, And I don't like to wield that a lot because it seems like a burden. A lot of people are going to have to. It gets overused, but our language is so important to God. I mean, we talked about yesterday. There are over 200 verses just about how we speak. I was reading this morning. I try to read a chapter of Proverbs a day, and 5 of the verses were about the words we use, and that you see how important it must be to God that we represent ourselves well through what we say, and that's where, again, I think we have the freedom to choose a better path, and that would be like, what if you do speak encouragement? What if you what if you speak truth and just correct and say, you know what, you're doing this. It's very frustrating, or do you realize you're doing this? We're talking about people caught in patterns of sin and how gracious it is to say, do you realize this is becoming true of you? Right. What a great way to use our words.
Yes.
Now, the temptation is to go along with the flow of the culture and to go along with what's easier or in our culture it's funnier, whatever that might be. And so it's a temptation for sure. But it does reveal a heart, and we need to be distinct as Christians.
Yes, it's one of those things that sets us apart. And it's also interesting to me, I know I'm a little bit older than you, but you probably are still familiar with this phrase, the whole sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. In my life, I have been hurt by words way more than I have by someone either throwing sticks or stones at me or just physically assaulting me in any way.
That's
words and tone of voice have been way more hurtful to me throughout my lifetime. And so what a way, like you said, to set ourselves apart, especially, on a daily basis, but especially if there is a tense situation, if you're the one that's able to step in and remain calm and maintain a sense of peace and decorum and bring that to that situation, that's something that's going to have people looking at you saying, "That's right. Wait a minute, where does that come from?"
And where people talk about character, there's 2 things I think. One is high school graduation and funerals. Okay, so this is a deep thought I just came up with, but when people are really honest about who people were and they celebrate the good things, high school graduations and funerals, one of the great joys that I love to hear, because we've unfortunately had some really godly people pass away at the church, and they'll just say they were so kind. They never spoke a bad word about anybody. They were so encouraging, and what a legacy to leave, know. And at graduation, the same way, people come up to you and you think nobody cared about you, nobody thought you were fun or interesting, but inevitably, for the nice kid who's quiet but always kind, people will come up and just say, I really appreciated that. You were a calming presence in my life. I'm sorry we didn't hang out more. Right. Because it's like everybody, the fog clears, and they're like, oh, this was really important, and I wish I would have been more like that. Right. Why wasn't I? It's because I got caught up. And so I think about those big moments where you are reflective. What's valuable? Well, to be honorable, to be truthful, to be kind. And in those situations, that's where you that's where you see the fruit of all of that.
Right. And for people to say just unequivocally, he or she loved Jesus, and it showed in everything that they said and everything that they did.
That's right. But I mean, how do people know? The way you talk. I mean, the way you give your time and your money is one thing, but give your words, that really is a huge way that you're known by, and that's your reputation. And so I love your question. I think that's a great question. I think we, anytime we're trying to make excuses for things, which is what happens a lot of times with profanity or, a number of sins where we try to draw lines, I think it's better just to think about the heart behind it. Like, what does it represent? What is it? Do people see Christ in you when you're engaging in that behavior? Is there a better way?
Right.
And for sure, there
and
is.
digging into those concentric circles, that one in the middle, like we talked about last week. Why am I doing this?
And
what's in it for me?
Asking that why is so important, because if we're not honest with our heart, we just finished that mental health series. Mental health is not just being free from mental illness. It's really it's like working out physically. It's trying to strengthen our core, the way we think about things, the way we see the world. And for Christians, in a biblical way, we realize that the only way to do that is to think of the things that are good, that are holy, that are right. And when we go into that, we do need to be honest with ourselves. Like, what is it in us that we need healing in? Because we struggle, I think, with motives and patterns.
Right.
We could talk a long time about just how we need to be aware of our lives so we can see what patterns were like. When this happens, what led up to that? What are the triggers to that, or what are the temptations, or what are the, sometimes people are just tired. I know I'm grumpy when I'm tired, and I have to really think, okay, I'm really tired. I'm going to be stressed. Or if a big event's coming up, not Fall Fest, because that was handled so well. But if something's going on, or used to, my family would know that if it's bills time, like I'd spend an hour paying bills online, everybody just needed to stay away,
right?
And just
give Dad some space.
But that's not great, that's not good. And so what I realized is like we've got to stop. Like it shouldn't put me in a bad mood. I recognize that pattern. It's like my family seems to always need to go to the store while I'm paying bills, so that's bad. So it's fine. And
so they were going to sort of spend money while you were.
That's a good point. They probably weren't going to the store. They're probably, we need to go to your mom's house. But yeah, no, it is. But it is really an issue of the heart. And sometimes I do think this, like, we need other people to help us see those things clearly.
Absolutely.
And that's why the power of community exists, because a lot of us just are blind to the things that we do. And we pray that God would reveal that and convict us, but a gentle word of rebuke is really powerful sometimes.
Right.
Just to say, hey, are you doing okay? Are you really sure this is what we want to be doing? And, anyway.
Yeah,
it's good.
Good points. We're out of time.
We are out of time.
It went very quickly today.
No, it was great.
We do encourage you, if you were not able to be with us yesterday, this sermon, you can find it on our YouTube channel and also at tcaot.org/sermon archive.
I don't know.
Archive.
Let's write both.
It's a single archive.
Archives.
Or also, you can just go to the media tab on our website. I'll keep it a little bit more simple. You can also access these there, as well as our YouTube channel and all of our midweek series that just finished up. Just 30 seconds or less.
30 seconds
We're
or less. Here we
starting
go.
on Wednesday night.
So Wednesday night we start apologetics series. Now, if you don't know what apologetics is, it's really it's not arguing for the faith, but it's reasoning for the faith. So what you will have at the end of the series is an understanding of kind of where the world is. That's what we're going to start talking about now. Like, how do we get to where we are in a psychological age, all that stuff. How do people listen to things? How do people believe things? But we'll walk through some of the objections to Christianity. We'll walk through how to talk with people of other faiths and other religions. And in the end, we will leave with a fuller understanding of, hopefully, our own faith, and then also how we can talk with other people. Because, it's such a value for us that you would shepherd the people around you, but you're going to find that the people in your neighborhood nowadays, they have all kinds of different understandings of who God is, what church is, where the Bible came from, how to merge faiths. You know, it's so interesting to talk to people and just hear about how they have come to understand God, and we need to have background on how to talk to them. So that was not 30 seconds.
No, it's way
but that's
overshot
good.
that.
That's fine. It's just so good.
You're a pastor. What can we say?
It's good. I
right?
hope. Yeah, that's true. So that'll be really helpful. I think that's going to be really good and very encouraging to our people. But it'll also be online as a resource.
Yes.
So that should be excellent. We also have a new members class on the
November
7th. I know
7th,
people are jumping in for that. We've already got some folks who are planning on
You
being
can sign
there.
up for that on the website as well.
Yep, and
All right.
So we're rolling. If you're a member of the church and you talk to somebody at Fall Fest, encourage them to come Sunday.
Yes.
I would love for that to happen. And I know I'm expecting a big Sunday this Sunday because I think people have said, "Oh, this place is a place that I might want to go to,"
Right.
and these are really loving people. So. I'm expecting to see a lot of folks there.
Awesome.
We'll be ready for them.
Looking forward to it.
Yep.
All right. We'll see you guys next time.
All right.